I'm about to say the thing and I hear in my head, welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle. You're welcome for
Oh,
singing that song, by the way. Just a
Jesus.
random side note. When I did boxing for like, I don't know, 2 weeks, it wasn't that long that I did boxing. It was very difficult. Anyways, when I did boxing in high school, I always imagined that my entrance song, you know, when you go into the ring, you got a song. I
Yeah,
always imagined that my entrance song was going to be
that was
Welcome to the Jungle. Like that was it, man. I'm like,
that's
yep,
funny.
this is the song.
Thank you,
Welcome
Daddy.
to the jungle. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Creating Self-Care Plans podcast. My name is Lauren and I am joined by my sister Lix. Hello.
Yo, what's up?
Today, I want to talk about something like very important, but first I have a story. So last week, the kids had, well, my daughter had a soccer game and my son was sent to go retrieve her when said game was finished. But she doesn't have a phone. And I thought, he knows this. Like, you're just gonna have to go out there and like flag her down and be like, yo, I'm here. Well, he comes back and he's like, it took like 20 minutes to get her attention. And like, why didn't you walk out there and like flag her down? Like, like you're supposed to. I was like, I didn't have shoes on. I'm like, wait a minute. You drove to the school without the shoes. I'm like, it's cold. Like, what
Oh
the
my
heck?
God.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, they came back and they went into this whole spiel about how I need a phone and blah, blah, blah. And to be fair, like by this point, my son had a phone already. Like his first phone was a flip phone.
Mhm.
And that was always the plan, to get her a flip phone at some point. But I mean, like, that means I have to add a line. And that means it's going to cost more money on my cell phone plan. And I'm trying
Yeah, you
to
already
cut
got one.
costs. Like, everybody has a phone. So I'm always like, borrow somebody's phone and call me and like let me know what time you're going to be back to the school. Like, it's not that hard. And the
Yeah, that's
teachers
true.
all have it. So I can just message them like using like the Remind app that they use and be like, when y'all going to be back to the school? And then they'd let me know. So it's all good.
Nice.
Like, I know where you are.
Mhm.
It's not that big a deal. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, everybody has a phone now, especially, I guess, kids her age. She's 12, right? 13?
13.
She's 13. So,
Yeah,
yeah, all of her friends they have to have phones.
they all
Like, "Hey,
have
bro,
phones.
can I borrow
Well,
your phone?"
no, there's one girl on her basketball team, the coach's daughter. So I love this coach.
Oh.
Does not have a phone. I'm like, that's my
Nice.
kind of mama.
Good job, coach.
Most I need to ask my 9-year-old if any of her friends have phones. Well, I should ask her how many of her friends have phones because I'm pretty sure they get
Yeah.
them like really young.
I'm sure some of them already have phones. I would imagine that 9-year-olds, maybe half of them have phones because
Yeah,
that's kind of young, in my opinion. I'm sure somebody else thinks the same thing. It's a little too young. But
yeah,
I mean, what do I know? I don't have kids, so don't listen to me.
yeah.
Don't take my
It's
advice when it comes to parenting. No.
I
Just so
think
you guys know, I
that's
don't
too
have
young.
kids.
But if you think about it, it's like little mini computers in their pocket that they can have
It
access
is.
to the Google.
Dude, we can do so much on our phones now. It's crazy. So, okay, so our sister just got an iPhone, right? Our other sister.
Yeah, finally.
Bro, she's been behind for so long. I'm like, dude, welcome to the 21st century because you've had a crappy phone for so long. And if you think about it, like your phone does so much stuff. Okay. And we are capable of so much technology wise. I had a brain fart yesterday. Okay. Let me tell you my story, my brain fart. So we grew up with, landlines, right? So we know what a phone is. Okay. I know what a phone is. But yesterday, my headphones for my Xbox, it wasn't working. It's like not holding the charge. Okay. So
Mm.
I tried plugging in a bunch of different things. I'm like, oh man, I think it's messed up. So my headphones are messed up. And I tell your son, because I was about to go play Fortnite with him. And I tell your son, I said, oh, we might have to do it without, communicating because my headphones aren't working. And he's like, or we can just use the phone.
Smart.
I'm like, everything technology, man. I'm so concerned with getting the headphones, and I want the headphones because it's an experience, you know, wearing the headphones. And I love my headphones. They're just so cool. Okay. I love wearing my headphones, even though I'm not that good of a gamer. Okay. I suck. I'm really bad at video games, but I like feeling professional with my headphones. So I'm dead set on communication with headphones. Right. And he goes, or we could just call. Like, oh, yeah, you're right. Technology is so advanced that we don't even need advanced technology like headphones in order to talk to each other. We can just use our telephones. Like, come on. I had a brain fart.
We forget the simple
Yeah,
things.
we forget the simple things. Oh, like, oh yeah, I could just call you. Jeez.
And it doesn't even have to be a call. It can be like a FaceTime. And then it's even
Yeah.
more fun because then you could see your faces when you're reacting.
That actually would be fun. So watching I don't remember who it was. I watched a video on YouTube. It was somebody that was playing, you know, video game, and it was recording his reaction. So it was
Right, right.
webcam kind of
It's
like
fun.
this. It's recording his reaction. I'm like, oh my god, this guy is hilarious. Every time he got ambushed or something, just oh shit, you know, it was funny. I don't remember who it was, so I can't tell you what the video is, but it was pretty funny.
My daughter was playing for my son the other day for a couple of minutes. And like almost immediately, as soon as she gets the remote, she's standing in front of the TV, and I hear her go ah, and then all of a sudden she died because like she just like the person like popped out of nowhere, and she just like reacted like that, and I'm just like she would be so funny if she was recorded
Oh
while
man.
playing because she always reacts that way. It's so funny. It's
Which
so
one was this?
funny.
The 9-year-old or the younger one?
No, the older one, the 13-year-old.
Oh.
She the 9-year-old, oddly, I don't really ever hear her making any noises when she's playing. She's pretty quiet. Like, when
She's the
she's
quiet
playing
one.
with my husband, like, they will talk to each other and tell each other things, but she's n I don't ever hear her outwardly be like, "Oh," like the other one.
Yeah. I love that you said that she will sit and talk to, her dad
Uh-huh.
uh can I say his name or no?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, to Alex. Um, it's funny you mentioned her sitting with Alex and them, like, talking to each other because I gathered maybe a few weeks ago. It might have been a month ago. I was hanging out with you at some point, obviously, because this is when I came up with this epiphany that your daughter, the 9-year-old, is just like your freaking husband, dude. When it comes to um humor, they have the same freaking humor because time and time again, and that trip that we took, remember? Remember when okay, hang on. Remember when the oldest, I said, "Hey, I'll give you $25 to be quiet." And the 9-year-old goes, "1, 2, 3, shut up."
Yeah. We
She didn't
thought she
even know
wasn't
she
paying
was
attention.
listening to the conversation. She had headphones on. She had a tablet. She's in her own little world. And, you know, it's like, oh, she's just doing her thing. She's not even paying attention to what's going on. And then she just, 1, 2, 3, shut up.
Oh my gosh.
See, stuff like
They're
that,
so
little
funny.
stuff like that. Like she's just like Alex. Like he's very quiet, but whenever he does say something, it's very relevant and usually
Y
hilarious.
Yeah. Yep. I get
And she'll
that.
say it like,
That's
you know,
true.
so calm, so, you know, whatever. I'm just like, dang, she's just like Alex. She's a little savage. It's
Oh,
funny.
this is so funny. Yeah. Um, that's like as a parent, like, moments like that, and then, like, trying to preserve that innocence in them, like, for as long as possible. I'm just kinda like that's kind of my main thing with why I'm, like, holding off on, like, the phones and
Mhm.
why, I've been really good about, like, keeping them away from social media. Like, they have those, like, Amazon tablets that are, like, kids, so they've got access to, like, kids stuff,
Yeah.
but there's no YouTube on there. I have downloaded Disney Plus on them, but other than that, that's the only streaming they have, and I don't allow them to, like, watch YouTube on there. At some point, I did, and then I took it off. Now they can only do that on, like, our Apple TV on the TV in the living room,
Mm.
and that's just because I wanna make sure that, like, whatever it is, like, it's kinda being screened by everybody at the same time,
Yep.
so they have to be very, um, selective in their choices. But the 9-year-old is usually just watching like Minecraft videos. And yeah,
That's usually the case with
yeah.
kids getting on YouTube. It's like, I wanna watch somebody do some stuff on Minecraft. That's so
It's
cool.
so it's so hilarious. The 5-year-old, when she's asking, because we have Apple TV, so we have like the fancy remote where it's got like a Siri button, and you can ask it like with the music, you can ask it like what to play and all that stuff. So any kind of search bar, you just hold it down, you can speak it instead of like keying it in. And she'll like Elsa. Or
Elsa,
she was
please.
yeah, she was trying to watch
I want Frozen.
yeah, she'll just like say stuff, and sometimes like it doesn't understand her, and she kind of gets annoyed, and then we have to help her what she's searching. But it's just kind of funny how like how the little kids like with the technology, they're just like, I can just ask anything. And
That's
yeah.
okay. I can only imagine somebody else's 4-year-old or 5-year-old just going up to the remote and snagging it, being like, "Candy, candy," or or just something random.
Uh, oh my gosh.
Like, nobody, candy's not gonna fall from the TV. Come on now.
Mm, right? It's like, how does that work? That's funny.
Kids are hilarious.
They are. So, and when the kids were coming up to me, like this whole debate, like, well, I say it's a debate. Them giving me their reasonings for why she needs a phone. I
The
I had already
testimonies.
I had already been like researching like what to do about getting her one.
Hmm,
And so I've come to the conclusion that it can't be an iPhone. One, because those freaking things are way too expensive, and I don't trust that girl.
mm,
She is always losing stuff. And that's also
as
why I've kind of postponed like the whole phone thing, because I'm like, you ain't responsible enough yet. Um, there's also like there's like layers of maturity that have to happen with your kids. Like they always say,
Mhm.
okay, here's an age when this thing should happen. But you also have to take the maturity into consideration. My son was a very
100%.
mature kid, so like he matured a lot faster, so I was able to allow him to do things sooner. This one,
Yep.
she's taking a while. And
Uh,
and
understandably, I understand why you feel that way.
and so I want to have like parental controls on this phone more than what the like screen time features are on iPhone. And from my understanding of it, with the iPhone screen time features, once a child is 13, that's it. Like I
Hmm.
can't control it anymore. That's what
What the
happened with
heck?
my son. Like once he turned 13, like it, because I had already established it before he turned 13, like it was set up, it continued until I at some point was like, okay, I'm lifting it. But because she would be starting it after she's already turned 13, when she puts her age and birthday in it, like it's not going to allow me to be
Hmm.
her parent on there. And so I've known this. And so that's also been like a reason why I haven't even gotten it, because I'm like, I want to do parental controls and we're already past the point where she can't.
Dang.
So I've been researching like apps that um can basically set, some of them can send me every single text message, and I do not want to, to see all the text messages and have
Oh,
to
no.
weed through that. But there's some that instead of doing that, they basically they act like an AI in the background, and they kind of look for keywords and phrases that are concerning, and then they would alert me only in those instances. And then
Hmm.
I can and then they'll send me like a grab of like what the conversation was, and then I can like choose if it's something I really need to talk to her about, or if it's just the AI being a little bit sensitive and it just picked up something silly and it wasn't really anything concerning. So that's kind of
Gotcha.
like where I'm
Hmm.
leaning.
That's
It'll
interesting.
even like screen emails and things like that. And so, I mean, this is not about me not trusting her. It's just more about me wanting to be aware of the things that she is being exposed to, because
Yep.
of the fact that there are so many cases of suicide and depression linked to consumption, specifically like social media consumption. And I do not want her on any of those platforms yet. She's mature, like her brain is not developed enough. I don't think any kids should be on there. Um like I can't even imagine what it would have been like if I was a teenager on social media and seeing how like my friends were at parties and like how that would have made
Mm.
me feel, like if I wasn't invited or like to post a picture and then nobody likes it.
Yeah.
Um, Beyond that, there's the whole world of her being exposed to a lot of fake stuff, like
Yeah.
all these filters that these girls use with all these, like a whole bunch of makeup and
Mhm.
distorting their face. And
Fancy eyelashes and stuff. It's like, that's not your real face.
yeah.
The more that we talk about certain things for this podcast, the more I realize that I do not want kids. And it's because, so like going back to, or going into social media, if I were to have a child, I would freak out. I know I would freak out was like social media wise, because I know too much consumption of social media at that age, it will mess up your world. And when I say mess up your world, I mean these teenagers. I'm going to quote Dr. Parker for a second, and I'm going to say these teenagers have raging hormones. Okay, first of all, they got raging hormones going on. Their bodies are changing. They're going through puberty. They don't know what the heck is going on. They're figuring out themselves in the world. This is the part in their life when they're getting social interactions, deeper connections with friends, professional relationships with teachers, coaches, stuff like that. They're developing a lot at the same time. And if you add social media to the mix, you end up confusing the heck out of them.
Mhm.
Sometimes, okay? Sometimes. Some kids will know this isn't real, it's just social media. This is cool, this is fun, this is, whatever. Some kids will not even think of social media that way. But then you get the insecure kids, the kids that are already kind of self-conscious in some kind of way. Maybe they got that
Yeah.
from their parents, or maybe they get picked on or something like that.
Yeah.
If you put those kids in uh not put those kids in social media, but if you put those kids on social media, and if they stay on social media for too long, they're going to drive themselves nuts. They're going to think, oh, so and so is doing this and that, that's probably what I should be doing, they look happy. Or they're doing this and they look happy. Or they're doing that, or they're saying this, they're funny, I'm not, just all this other
Yeah.
stuff. And at the same time, they're still trying to make sense of the world. You know what I mean? So I think that teenagers and social media is a very dangerous combination, especially if you don't know your kid. And see, another reason why I can't be a parent, because even if you raise the kid and you know the kid, like, oh, I know that they're not going to be like that, they're tough, they're like
Oh,
this,
yeah.
they
There's
can
no
live life like
guarantee.
this. There's no guarantee whatsoever. And I use the extreme example that I can be the best parent in the world and my kid could still end up a serial killer.
Yep.
Probably not. Chances are very slim, to none. But still, everybody is their own person and their own human being. And like, I'm not trying to dump on parents, but knowing your kids is half of it. And then talking to your kids about stuff, and not really exposing them, but teaching them about the exposure, I guess, would be very helpful for the teenager. Helping them understand, hey, this isn't real,
Yeah.
or it's just social media. They People put stuff on there all the time that they feel like they have to post, but on the inside they're really miserable. You know, so, like, don't believe everything that you see. I feel like
Yep.
it's a very vulnerable age, like those adolescent years. It's just a lot, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah. And it's kind of tricky because like I don't want to be that one where it's like my child is the only one that doesn't have it and everybody else is like staying connected to each other in that world and mine isn't. And so in that way like you kind of feel like your from that perspective, I understand that you're kind of depriving that child of a form of connection, but
Mm,
text messaging, like that's a form of connection. Whatever happened to like picking up the phone and just communicating and talking on the
yeah.
phone with a friend? Like I remember
Shoot,
being
that's
a
enough social interaction for me.
yeah, I remember being a teenager and just picking up the phone and just talking to my friends. Or in the that before like text messaging, we had like instant messenger and we would do that and just chat with our friends, which is kind of like text messaging
Oh,
or
man.
email. And like those are like very basic. It's like you only communicate with that one other person. There's not this like whole world um at your fingertips that you can see what lifestyles all these other people are doing. And then I guess the bottom line is that I think I talked about this before when you get to see all the different options and all the ways that life can be, you start to become unhappy with what you have at the moment because
So
you
true.
see that like that person over there is living in a house like this, or they have like these type of clothes, or they have those type of toys.
You start
They're
comparing
You
yourself.
start comparing yourself like, but when you don't do that, like if you don't have that access, you don't have that to compare, then you're a lot happier
Oh,
about like
yeah.
your current situation. So my my challenge is just trying to like keep them like I guess happy for as long as possible and like try and teach them not to compare themselves to other people. I guess
Yeah.
that's like my main concern with it. And I know for myself personally, with me consuming like social media and being on social media, what I don't like sometimes is the like habit that tends to form where it's like you feel this void, you feel boredom, and like you instantly like hop on.
Mm, that's totally a thing.
Yeah,
It's like, I'm bored. Let me scroll on social media.
yeah.
Or,
You don't.
I got time in between here and there. I don't feel like talking to anybody. Let me get on social media.
Yep,
Let me catch up on Instagram.
yep.
Man, I promise you, it was yesterday. I sat on the couch yesterday and I pull out my phone. Same thing. Eh, she's watching TV. I don't care about this movie. I really don't. So I'm gonna just scroll on social media. I usually just play my games. Like I got games on my phone.
Right.
So I'll play games
Mhm.
on my phone. But yesterday I said, "Oh, I haven't gone on Instagram in a while." My wife says, dang, you slacking. Like, what do you mean
What?
I'm slacking? First of all, I've been hella busy. If anything, I've been so productive, not slacking just because I haven't like gone on social media. I mean, obviously she was joking. It's a joke, you know.
Right, right.
Like, dang, you slacking. But then I kind of thought about it and I'm like, is there a quota for social media? You know, are you supposed to scroll through social media 5-10 minutes a day and then, hang it up and say, that's my social media for the day? Honestly, setting that time boundary, since we're going to talk about social media boundaries, um, like having that time boundary, doing like 5-10 minutes is actually not bad.
I think
I do it all the time.
I
But
think
I
there's
don't
a
actually limit myself. I subconsciously limit myself because I'm like, meh, that's enough. I think, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm tricking myself to think that social media is boring. No idea. But sometimes I'll be on Instagram for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm friggin' rabbit hole. I'm rabbit
okay.
holing it.
So there's this thing now. I pulled out my phone. There's a thing
Because
in
we
the
use it for
Instagram.
so many things.
There's a thing in the Instagram app where you can like set time limits, I think.
Hmm.
So if you go to the settings and privacy and you'll see a thing that says time spent, it'll show you how much time you've spent on Instagram. So look, this is mine. Oh gosh, it's going to show
There we go.
for the week.
4 minutes daily average.
I have barely been on.
Dang, let me look at mine. Now I'm curious.
And the only reason this has been like that recently is because I took a break during Thanksgiving. And I always find that whenever I take breaks like that, when it's easy to take a break when I'm away because I'm not
Oh,
home,
yeah.
I don't have the same cues to like check it. But when I come back from a break, yeah, see, not a lot. You
Yeah,
slacking.
definitely not a lot. See, I'm really slacking. Only spent 17 minutes on Instagram. That's unacceptable.
Um, I find myself not wanting to be on there. Like it's almost like I broke a cycle of like addiction whenever I take a
Yeah,
break. Those first couple days are sometimes a little bit difficult if I'm doing it like at home. Like if I'm not taking a break, like literally leaving the house and just being intentional and not using it. Obviously, when I'm around
oh,
family and
yeah.
things like that, I just don't do it. Or when I'm traveling in a car, I don't do it. I get motion sickness. I can't just sit there and like look at my phone while the car is moving. It just doesn't work. But there's a way in the Instagram app that you can set limits within the app aside from like if you wanted to do screen time. You obviously can do like the iPhone screen time limits
Mhm.
and set like you can set however long you want that way, but I love that like Instagram at some point, it wasn't that long ago they created that like within the app you can now set time limits and it'll remind you like after a certain whatever time period you want. If you only want to be on there 10 minutes, you can say like 10 minutes, remind me like to take a break after 10 minutes of scrolling. That way you don't get sucked into the rabbit hole of it. But what I do, I don't have my notifications turned on
Yeah,
at
mine
all.
are off too.
I don't have
I don't have
notifications.
Facebook. I don't
Yep.
have, well, I have a Facebook, but I don't have Facebook notifications.
Right.
I don't have Instagram notifications, Snapchat notifications, any kind of social media notification. It is turned off. If I want to go on social media, I have to go out of my way, find the app, click on the app, get into it. But
Yep.
if it's just easy, it pops up, there's a notification. Oh, so and so, blah, blah, blah. Do I really care? Not really. So why would I get on the social media for that notification anyways? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. But for setting yourself up to only spend so much time on social media, that's a really good way to start, is to go into the settings like you said, how you can set a timer or whatever. For me, I just kind of stop whenever, and sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's an hour and a half. Like it just really really just depends. And most of the time it's like, I mean, you saw my thing, 17 minutes. Most of my time it's maybe 30 minutes max while
Yeah.
I'm sitting down, because I just get so tired of scrolling through all the different, things, and it's like, this is information overload. I don't really care about what's going on with you guys that much. Some of the people that I follow on Instagram, they're like homesteaders. So they
Mm.
have gardens in their backyard, and they're showing me how to plant stuff. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I will spend an hour and a half going down a rabbit hole looking at homesteaders on Instagram, not gonna lie. And the other thing, I can't remember. I have like exercises.
Yeah.
So I've been
Workout
following
stuff.
like mobility training, or people that show mobility training exercises and stuff like that. So I try to spend my time on Instagram learning something from somebody else, or watching somebody else do something that I either want to do myself, or something that is useful for me, like in my job, which sounds kind of lame now that I say it out loud. I don't
No.
I don't think anyone uses social media for that purpose. I might be the only one that does that. That's freaking weird, but whatever.
Well,
That's what I use social media for.
you
I
could say
mean,
that I use social media for my job if you wanna call my content creating, uh, a
it's
job
job
because
related.
it technically is. It's a thing that I do that kind of fills me joy. It gives me, like, a purpose outside of being a mom. So, my
Do it,
Instagram that
girl.
I my Instagram that I have a private Instagram, like, my personal Instagram that I'll share pictures of my kids every once in a while, and then I have, like, my planning Instagram where my feed in there is mostly planner accounts, um, other people who are sharing, like, what their planners look like, and it's cool to, like, get, like, inspiration from seeing how they're using their planners, but if I'm in a place where I'm, like, right now, I'm in a place where I'm trying to still figure out what I'm going to do for my 2024 planning, or if I'm at a point where I'm like, I need to simplify, I don't want to see all the things because then I want to buy all the things. I tend
Yep.
to like not scroll or want to be on there too much because it can be either depressing because it's like, oh, I don't have the money, I want to buy it, or it can be it can make me feel guilty, especially if it's something I was using and then I'm not using it anymore. It
It'll
can make me
definitely
feel
make you
like
feel anxious.
yeah, it'll make you feel anxious, especially, like, during the whole, like, leading up to Black Friday and, like, finding out when all the sales were going to be and all that things. I'm so glad that my email list is now just, like, once a month. For a little bit, I th for a little bit, I had it going twice a month, and because I have a section in there for planning news, had I had one that went out in the middle of November, it would included like a whole bunch of like, here are all the sales and when they're happening. I didn't have to really keep track of any of that because by the time I sent out my November email, nobody was really talking about when the sales were happening for
Hmm,
Black Friday. So I didn't really have anything to tell anybody. And I didn't really have to keep track of that to share.
that's
Um,
a relief.
so yeah, I was like, "Whew, thank God." I think last year this time, I think I was doing the 2 times a month, and that was a thing. So it
Ooh,
can be exhausting in that sense because it's part of my work. I've made it part of my work that in my email, I want to include a little bit of news of what's happening, and sometimes that includes, like, what sales might be happening, or what new products are happening with certain companies launching, this type of planner product and that. So
mm,
it can be a lot. It can be a lot because it's like on one end, it's like for me personally, it might not be helpful, but I'm doing it because it's for my work. I kind of need to know so that I can let
yeah,
other people know what's going on.
yeah, that's kind of stressful, but
Yeah, it can be a little stressful
Mhm.
sometimes. Yes. But I've been um trying to not overthink it lately, especially
Yeah,
I've gotten really good about my emails where the part where I actually write a brief little it's basically like a little pep talk. Um I've gotten really good about not writing it 5 times because that's just how I am where I used to like write something and then edit it and then edit it again a couple of days later. And like I just kept like wanting to tweak it and make it perfect. And then one day I was just like, why am I doing this? I'm already like a really
mm,
good writer, just like to begin with. I need to
yep,
stop being so hard on myself. These are emails. These are not a book that's going to potentially be like a bestseller. Like just it out, read it
yeah,
one way through. If it sounds good and you're getting a good message across, that's it. Like it doesn't need to be
don't need to be
uh
perfect.
it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be like
We should totally do an episode on people and us people being their own biggest critic, everybody being so hard on themselves. We should totally do an episode on that because I do the same thing with I'm a pretty decent writer. I do the same thing with school. So there's a paper that I turned in a couple days ago, and I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted it to be absolutely amazing, and just the flow needs to be good, and I need to sound elegant and educated, and what's the other word, like a real scholar. That's the word I'm looking for. I need to sound like a real scholar in this paper, right? But I'm actually a pretty decent writer. And I get through with the paper and I go back to the assignment and I reread the assignment because I do that. Am I hitting the mark? Am I checking the boxes?
right.
So I go back to the assignment and I'm like, this is easy. I'm like, I already hit all of these boxes. Why am I so stressed out? Like I checked the boxes. It looks great. It sounds great. It makes sense. I mean, it doesn't sound like a third grader wrote it. So I should just probably turn it in. I turned it in and I got a really good grade on it. I'm like, why was I stressing out about this dang paper? We are our own biggest critic. I think we should totally do a podcast on that.
Yeah, we probably could. I will add to that because I had this experience in college where it was in a comp class. We were asked to evaluate each other's writing. There was an assignment that was done and then we had to like pick someone in our class and we had to swap our papers and read each other's and kind of I think we were like editing or just kind of
Mm,
that's we must have been editing it because it was a comp class that probably was just part of, learning. And I kid you not, it wasn't until that class that oh, hold on. Let me try and word this right. It wasn't until that moment that I realized how good of a writer I was.
Mm.
because when I was reading my peers' work, I was like, "What the hell is this?" It's like, "This
Yep.
is crap. This is crap writing." I wanted a
Hmm.
red pen so bad to be all like and you would think that I would have known before this because when I was in high school, I won, like, a speech competition, and I don't know, I just thought that was, like, a fluke, maybe? I don't know. I really never thought that I was, like, that good at it, and it wasn't until I think that was my first year of college that I saw somebody else's, I'm like, "Dang, I actually can write." My
Dang,
teachers
I'm pretty
aren't
good at this.
Yeah, my teachers
Mm.
aren't just, like, just saying it to make me feel good. They literally know what they're talking about because they've seen
Oh
everybody
man.
else's.
Well, then I hate to tell you this.
What?
All right, listeners, Lex is about to crash the party and burst Lauren's bubble.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I'm just kidding. Um, I'm not gonna burst her bubble, but it reminded me. So I'm the youngest, right? So I had two sisters go through high school before I did, which was great, but it sucked at the same time because all of the teachers that were there for you, that were there for me, they compared me to you. Okay, got it? All right. So you being a great writer, you never had Mr. Wilson, right?
No.
Okay.
I think I
Let me
heard the
tell you something.
story, and I don't
I
think Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so Mr. Wilson, he was my English teacher. I'm sorry for putting his name out there. Sorry, Mr. Wilson, love you. So he told me one day, you're a very good writer. I said, really? He goes, yeah, you might be even better than your sister. And I took that compliment and I flew to the dang moon because I thought he meant you. And he meant the other sister. And I'm like, crap. Like, okay, I'm better than the other sister. Like, all right, we both must be decent because he
Mhm.
even mentioned the other sister. Like, your sister's a pretty good writer, but I think you might be better than her. Like she's a pretty good writer. And I thought he meant you the whole time. I
No, I
thought,
never had
man,
him.
I took that
I
compliment. I went to the moon. I put a flag on the moon, and then I came back, and then I realized that he was not talking about you. And I said, that hurt.
Sorry. I'm sure
That
it
hurt.
did. I'm sure it did.
But
Uh,
I am still a pretty decent writer. So for what it's worth, I'm a good writer too, okay. That's
yeah.
all.
That's so
Oh,
funny.
so we were talking about comparing ourselves, right? And it made me think of something. So when we compare ourselves like on social media, so and so's doing this, so and so's doing that or
Yeah.
whatever. It's like what if we just think of it in a different way? Because what you just described was you comparing your writing to other people's writing, and then you said, dang, I'm actually pretty good. There's a other side to comparing yourself to other people, and
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't think that we see that side enough. We always see the negative, or we always see what we want, and the saying, we
Yeah.
want what we can't have, right? So we're looking at things that we want that we can't have. And but why? Why? Like, maybe it's for the drama. I don't know. Like looking for something that, or not looking for something, but looking at something that you want, that it's out of reach, at least for a little while, and then torturing yourself saying, dang, why can't I have that? But if you compare yourself to, if you do it the other way around, if you compare yourself to people that don't have what you already have, like a home or an education, you think about it like, dang, say I have a degree, there are millions of people out there that don't have degrees. And you could say, dang, I'm one of those people that have degrees. Or, okay, this one's actually very simple. And I'm sure nobody thinks this. Okay. Say you're a mom, right? A stay at home mom at 4, and you think, dang, I could be a CEO of whatever company. Okay, hang on. There is somebody out there that would love to be a stay at home mom of 4, but isn't. There's a way to compare yourself to other people and feel bad, and then there's a way to compare yourself to other people and then feel good, which I'm not saying like compare yourself on other people and then just shit on them for not doing what you're doing. Don't be an asshole. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you're in a you're in a great spot where you like whoever you are. No, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. Just take a deep breath and say this to yourself like, I am in a great spot and I am grateful for where I am today. You can't look at, what you want for, for the future and stuff and then be like, oh, when am I going to get it? This sucks. But just be grateful for where you are right now. And then the blessings come, like that has worked for me. I don't know how many times, but being grateful for what you have and just, if you, and it might be easier if you do compare yourself to other people that aren't as fortunate as you. I'm not saying shit on them, but if you just think of it that way, then you won't be so hard on yourself when it comes to getting the things that you want or having that sense of accomplishment in life or something like that. So I would say flip it because I mean, you just did the same thing. Like you did the comparison of your writing to somebody else's writing and it made you feel good about yourself, right?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
if we do
There's
that a little bit more, then maybe we can break that cycle that is definitely not enhanced but like social media takes a part of it like because it's so much easier to see what other people are doing and you don't even know these people. Like I follow somebody from Paris, I don't freaking know them, you know.
right. Exactly. There's this yogi on YouTube that I like. Her name is Sarah Beth Yoga. And she says a lot in her videos, you are exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mm,
And that's something that definitely would be a really good like affirmation. If you ever have those moments where you feel frustrated, I think this time of the year too is probably appropriate for this conversation where like you would feel frustrated that whatever goal you set in 2023 hasn't happened yet. We're all the way at December and like it's obvious that whatever goal it was, it isn't going to get met. You can easily feel like bad about it and you can see all these other people maybe sharing all the goals that they've hit and then it can make you feel really bad about yourself because you're like, dang, I freaking suck this year and like a whole bunch of shit happened that I didn't expect, which is the case for everybody. A lot of stuff happens. You can't predict what's going to happen. All you can do is
mhm,
like sit down and like list out this is what I want and then you have to try and navigate getting that stuff done while dodging all these things that life is going to throw at you and just like sitting there and having that moment of like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Like understanding, I think there's a lot of maturity in that and like understanding that there's something that you needed to learn this year through the
mhm,
things that you experienced that you didn't plan on happening that
yep,
derailed you from the goals that you set. Maybe it happened because in reality, the goals that you set aren't that important. And if it
mm,
wasn't because that thing happened, you wouldn't reflect back on it and be like, do I really want this goal? Or is this some kind of goal that I'm setting because it's a should goal? Like it's expected of me. Like how for a lot of people, buying a house is something that we are told when we are younger that is like the adult thing to do at some point. And like if
yep,
you've reached a certain age and you still haven't done it, you might feel some sort of way where you're like, well, maybe I should make that a goal because that's what I should be doing at this age. And that's not going to work. Like if you aren't setting something, if you're setting something because it's expected of you, that's the
mhm,
wrong way about it. Like
heck
you
yeah,
actually have to genuinely want that thing to happen
mhm.
or else
So I was listening to Alexis Fernandez, which is a podcast. Okay. I was listening to her podcast called Do You Fucking Mind? Sorry for the editing, where she talks about timelines. And I'm about to be 30. So this podcast kind of it didn't hit home, but it was relevant. And it was getting the things done that we feel like we have to get done by the time we're 30. Like 30 is a huge timeline for us in general. But like why is it marked at 30? Why 30? Why not 40? And then this kind of this goes, I'm going to tie this into the harsh reality of being where you are supposed to be. Because believe it or not, like, here's the truth. You got to where you are right now all on your own. Okay. You might say, so and so helped me get this job, or so and so assisted in this way. He paid for it, blah, 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 or whatever the case may be. Either way, you got to where you are today all on your own. You did that. You did that shit, girl. Okay. You did that. But with having to like buy a house or have kids or something by the time you're 30, like who even came up with that stuff? Okay, who came up with that? Because I want a rewrite. Okay, I want a rewrite. So if you think about it, say you're 30, right, and you thought that you're supposed to have kids and have a house by now and be married, but you're not. You're single, no kids, no house. Okay, and you're like, crap, I'm about to be 30. Oh, I suck at life. I'm behind in life. Ugh. Because you don't have, these things by the time you're 30. But if you are where you are supposed to be, then this is your path. Your path doesn't involve having a house at 30, having kids and being married at 30, or whatever the case may be, whatever you thought you were going to
It's
be
gonna happen
doing.
at 31.
Yeah, it's going to happen at 31 or 33,
Yeah.
like just calm down.
We all have
You
our own
do.
timeline.
Yeah, you all have your own timeline. So having that pressure of doing something that somebody else is expecting of you, or somebody else wants you to have, or just like that idea, like it might not even be somebody being like, hey, when are you going to have kids? It might not even be that. It might just be like an in general kind of thing that you have like embedded in your brain, like I got to have kids by the time I'm 30. Just let that stress go, man. Just live your life, and you, like when you said you are where you are supposed to be, you got yourself there. Like, did you really want a husband and kids right now and a house? Because if you really wanted it, you would probably have it. That's the reality of it. You get to where you are, or you've gotten to where you are now, all on your own. You made those choices. So if you look back and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to blah blah blah, but you've been having so much fun being you. Think about that. But I've been having so much fun doing this, or I've been spending my time doing this. So I didn't find a husband and get married and stuff like that. That's fine, man. Just live your life. There's this pressure, this outside pressure, which also comes from social media, which you can, it influences, people are doing this and that, well, blah, blah, whatever. If it doesn't align with what you want and what you're doing, just forget about it. It's nonsense.
Yeah. And I think that in general, like I think there's this consensus, blah 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 words where because we are in 2023, about to be in 2024, like everybody needs to be online and everybody needs the social media and everybody needs to stay connected in that sort of way. The thought that somebody like me doesn't have her notifications turned on sounds outlandish. People are like, "You what now?" And it's like, "It's okay. I'm still alive. I'm still connected.
Yep.
It's just on my own terms." So I think if
Don't worry, girl. I saw the baby shower pictures.
if you feel like you have an unhealthy relationship with social media, meaning like you don't like the way you are feeling when you are consuming it, or you don't like how you are constantly reaching for your phone to like get that dopamine hit, because that's exactly what it is. It's a hit of dopamine. You're like bored. You want something fun, something you're looking for something to like perk you up, give you some kind of joy. And in a way, yes, something in your feed might do that for you, but the reverse can also happen. Something in your feed could make you feel worse than you actually want to feel. And then you just
Yeah.
keep on going. And, before you know it, you haven't accomplished anything. And so I think if you feel that way, it's totally okay for you to turn off your notifications. I think I would start there.
Heck
If you
yeah.
have them turned on, I would absolutely turn them off. Just see how that feels for a week to not have notifications turned on, and see how often you get the urge to check Instagram or Facebook or
Hmm.
whatever social media platform it is. Um, I would even invite you to do that for your email too. I do that for my email. I have my email things turned off.
I
Um,
might be addicted to checking my email, I'm not gonna lie. That might be my social media platform that just, like, has me all kinds of out of whack, because if I get a school email, I start panicking. If I get a different kinda email, I say, "Oh, this is cool," or, like, whatever it is.
yeah.
If I get a good email, I get that, "Yeah," I get that
Ye
high. But if
yeah.
as soon as I get a school email,
Yeah. You never know when those
Oh,
are gonna
man.
come. I don't wanna get an email notification every time there's a bill due. Like, dude,
Ugh, I hate
I
those.
know when my bills are due. I don't need the notification turned on.
I actually need the notification.
Well,
Like, "Oh, yeah, that's due." Like, I mean, there's a
yeah.
reason why I check my email. It's
There are
those
some
emails.
there are some apps that are bill related that will let me know, "Hey, by the way, something's due." That's fine. But,
I've
like,
heard of those. Those are
my
cool.
email notification, I don't want because I also get, like, marketing emails in there. So, I don't want to constantly, like, have my phone going off letting me know, "This person's having a sale, this person's having a sale, this person's having a sale."
Mhm.
And then, like, my attention is constantly getting, like, diverted to all these different things. Same thing with, like, social media. I don't wanna get notified every time someone likes my post or every time I get a DM. I can just, like, go in whenever I want to and check that on my terms because I've got other things happening. I don't wanna get sidetracked and lose focus, um, because it's part of, like, multitasking where your brain, as soon as it hears that notification, you've lost focus of whatever it is you were doing. Your brain immediately is like, "Oh, what was that notification? I need to check it." You go check it, and then it'll take you, like, 10 minutes before you can get right back into that zone of what you were doing in the first place. So, it's like it's definitely one of those things that if you feel like you're constantly getting pulled in all these different kind of ways, or you just feel really stressed out, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to solve it, I think one really good recommendation that honestly is not gonna hurt anybody, it'll be a really good experiment, is to just turn
Yeah,
off all your dang notifications.
it's a great way to start, is just turn off those notifications, and I think how do I say this? For hang on, it's coming, it's coming. Just lost my train of thought real quick. Okay. When we scroll on social media, sometimes, and I know people feel this way. When we scroll on social media, just like you said, we start getting those feelings of, we start to get sad, we start to compare ourselves, we start to feel down on ourselves, stuff like that. Once that emotion starts, or once that emotion triggers, I would say put the phone down. As soon as you start feeling some type of negativity towards yourself internally, put it down. Say, F you, I'm walking away from this because I am freaking awesome. Okay. Just do that. Anytime I'm scrolling through social media, maybe this is why when I do get on social media, it either doesn't last very long or I go down a rabbit hole. When it doesn't last very long, it's because I'm scrolling and I'm starting to feel bad about myself, so I'm putting it away. I
Yeah,
put it away. There is nothing for me on Instagram today. It is what it is. Today's just the 5-minute day.
yeah.
Maybe I'll go down a rabbit hole looking at some people planting potatoes tomorrow. But as of right now, it is making me feel some type of way about myself. And you know what? Screw you guys. I'm awesome. I'm putting my phone down. Like you got to set those boundaries with social media. And that brings me to the 6 different types of boundaries that I found on mindbodygreen.com. So they kind of explain it like on the website and they give examples, but all of these different boundaries could totally be applied to social media. Okay. So you got physical boundaries, you got emotional, time, sexual, intellectual, and material. You could totally apply all these different types of boundaries to social media. Physical, just put your phone somewhere else. Okay. Just stay away from your phone because whenever you have that physical picture in front of you that's making you feel bad about yourself, physically take it away from your face. I mean, come on. That's that's how easy it is. Just physically move it boop here to there.
Physical
And
boundary.
then exactly. Just
Another physical boundary could be, a complete, like, day away from social media. I do that, once a week. I do a complete day, and that's partly because of the fact that I do create content, and I'm on here a little bit more than I like to be, and I need that day so that I can, like, have my own thoughts come through and not allow, like, myself to just constantly consume, consume, consume. Because then what'll happen is I can't fully process, like, whatever it is that I want to create. I don't get
Yeah.
ideas. That's exactly what happens, is I don't really get any ideas if I'm constantly just, like, consuming someone else's. So,
Yep.
I intentionally have, like, 1 day a week where I take a break and I don't have any, social media that includes, like, YouTube videos. Some people could be like, "Oh, that's not really social media." It still is. You're, like,
Mm,
kinda consuming someone else's content. So,
yeah.
for me, I consider that, like, do not consume.
Well, I mean, that's pretty smart, taking yourself away from everybody else's stuff to get your own kind of, creative juices flowing and stuff. For my like okay, so I have a I don't have a garden yet. I'm going to have a garden, okay, which is why I'm following homesteaders that garden and stuff because I'm getting so many ideas, but they're not my ideas, they're other people's ideas. And I think about it and I see these cool things, these cool garden beds that people are making or greenhouses that people are making. I see all of that. And I'm not going to lie, I am okay with copying exactly what they did. That
Uh,
might sound bad, but I mean, it
mm-mm.
is what it is. Like you just whatever, live your life. For you in particular, you got to come up with something different. Like you like creating something different. For me, when it comes to that, I'm completely okay with copying somebody else's thing because
Well,
I don't
see,
know,
I
at
can't
least I'm not
create
creative
content
enough.
that's exactly the same as somebody else's.
Well,
That's
yeah, that's
that's a
different.
no-no. So,
Yeah.
it's if my world is not online, like, I'm not sharing something, like, I would totally do the same thing. If I were wanting to do a garden and I needed some ideas for how to, like, set it up or whatever, I would totally find
Like, bro,
somebody else
how'd
who's
you do it?
already Yeah, I'd find somebody else who did it and then, like, do it exactly the same. I wouldn't then go online and be like, "Look at what I created," without,
Oh,
like, giving
yeah.
credit to the person that actually,
Yeah.
showed me how to do it. That's
That
wrong.
yeah. Definitely gotta give credit when it's due. Yeah, that's completely that's good. That's just stealing, okay?
That's stealing
Oh, man.
intellectual
Um,
property.
heck yeah. But, yeah, we were talking about boundaries for social media. So you got physical and emotional. We mentioned the time, having that time
Yeah.
boundary, set that on your phone. Um, I don't really think that, the other ones, sexual, intellectual, and material, I think those are kinda self-explanatory, as far as boundaries, just well, okay, we could totally get into the sexual one and link that to body image,
Yeah, that's
but
definitely those
that's a
filters,
rabbit
those
hole.
those filters that they put on there. Okay, so I was listening to a podcast. Which podcast was it? Oldish. Don't judge me. Um,
I'm judging. I'm doing all the judging over
it's
here.
called Oldish, and it the one of the hosts used to be on 90210, Brian Austin Green. So he's
Heard
on it
that
with,
name.
like, 2 other people. And there was an episode not too long ago where they were talking about social media and they were talking about the filters, the Instagram filters specifically, but I think this is something that, like, I think it got started in Snapchat because we all know Instagram is made up of a whole bunch of features that other people did first and then Instagram copied. Well, they, were basically bringing to my attention in this episode, something I didn't even think about. Apparently, a lot of young girls are using these filters and, like, taking pictures of themselves with it and not just posting it, like, online, but they are showing these to a doctor, like a plastic surgeon, and saying, "Make me look like this." And, like, some of these filters, like, do crazy things, like, they reshape the nose. They will, like, adjust the cheekbones. I don't They'll, like, adjust the chin and do, like, all kinds of stuff, and just the thought that, like, these young girls think that these filters are actually achievable. Like you could actually like go to a surgeon and be like, make me look like the filter.
That's crazy, man. I heard everything that you said, like, make me look like this. Holy crap. If
It's
that's not body dysmorphia,
so
let me
that's
just
like,
look up
yeah,
the definition, because I feel like if that's not what it is, then it's very close. What
it's
is body
it's
dysmorphia? What
probably
is the definition?
so that's what I'm concerned about with like with stuff like that. Okay, so during Thanksgiving break, my mother-in-law was like, "Let's take a selfie." And we were because we were sitting on a couch, me and my husband and her, and she pulled out her phone and I think it was Snapchat and she had I don't have Snapchat, so I don't know. She had like a filter on there. It put a whole bunch of makeup on my face. And I was like, oh my God. And then after she took the picture and I looked at it like closer, I was like, dang, I look good. My husband's like, wow, you look like you're 20. I was like, yeah, I know, but like that's kind of scary. Like
That is scary.
I don't know how I feel about like taking pictures and then posting it and be like, oh,
Here's
here's a
my
throwback.
here's my experience with filters. It's very similar, okay? We all know I'm a lesbian. So, my wife will wanna take a picture, right? Let's take a
Hmm.
selfie together. So she puts the filter on, and the filter is meant to make her look good, not
But it
me,
also makes
okay?
you look good too.
But it also makes me look like a freaking woman to the T. My eyelashes are already pretty long, and then, we put it on this filter, and then my eyelashes are, like, times 10, and then everything in my face is just beautified like I got makeup on, and it just looks so weird
It
because
is really
I
weird.
don't look like that in person at all, and I
Uh,
should not. I'm the type of person, if I take a picture, I can't have a filter. I mean, I
yeah,
can have a filter, but I can't have one of those, like, beautify filters or whatever.
right.
I know that there's different names for filters,
Yeah,
like, for, like, makeup and stuff like that,
yeah.
and I don't remember the name of the filter, but when my wife uses that filter, I look like a girly girl in guy clothes, and it is
Uh,
just weird. Like, crop me out. This don't even look right, this is 1, it's false advertisement, okay, and
yeah.
2, I don't even look like a lesbian in this picture. Just something's
Uh.
messed up here, okay? But yeah, with social media and going through like photos and comparing like your body or the way that you look to other people. So I did look it up, body dysmorphia. Apparently, body dysmorphia references two different types of body dysmorphia. One is body integrity dysmorphia, and the other one is just body dysmorphia, or it's also called body dysmorphic disorder. The integrity it's called dysphoria. My bad. I pronounced it wrong. Body integrity dysphoria. That is when you um lose a limb or something and you pretend like it's still there. It used to be called something else.
Oh.
It used to be called like phantom syndrome or something like
Yeah, like
that. I think
phantom
that's what it was
arm
called. Yeah, phantom something.
or
I don't
phantom
remember.
leg, something like that. It's a
Yeah, but now
phantom.
it's called BID or BIID, body integrity dysphoria. So body dysmorphia, uh body dysmorphic disorder called BDD is a mental health disorder, and this is just freaking Wikipedia. It says mental health disorder that leads to distress over your appearance. You may think certain parts of your body are defects. Other people may not be
Mhm.
able to see the things you perceive as flaws. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
The
that's
make me
yeah.
look like this, that's definitely BDD, that dysmorphic disorder, body dysmorphic disorder.
Well, I
And
don't
that's
know if it
awful.
would be a disorder until you've like until you unless you're obsessing over it because there are definitely some instances where people will go in for surgery and they'll just do one thing and that's it and they don't ever do anything else ever again, but then there are the ones that will repeatedly
Continue.
over and over and over again and keep getting more and more things fixed.
Mhm.
um so yeah, I think that that would be when it would be like a disorder, but it's
Yeah.
sad, very sad.
It's sad that this is happening to teenagers, you know?
Mhm.
That's what's sad to me is that teenage girls are going through this and
Well,
like,
if you think about it, because of the fact that there is a filter that can make you beautify you and change like your appearance. Let's just like take aside the fact that like it can actually change like the way your face looks. Let's just put on makeup, right? A filter. So then girls are seeing all these pictures of what they like of their friends or strangers with these makeup filters on, and they think that's how they have to do their own makeup, like in
Mm,
real life, walking around looking like a filter makeup.
yeah.
And that's not really realistic for a lot of these. Like there are some natural makeup filters. I have used like a natural one that if I'm not wearing any makeup, it'll just kind of like even out my skin tone and it'll make it
Mm.
look like I was wearing makeup, because my form of makeup is literally just like some CC cream and some mascara. And that's it. Like I don't go crazy with it.
My
And
makeup is chapstick. That's
um
the level of makeup that I adhere to. But random side note, I do know a lot about makeup. Okay, I watch Bailey Sarian. She does her makeup while she does a murder mystery story. It's every other Monday now. It used to be every Monday. She's on YouTube. She's also on Spotify. She does Dark History. Anyways, she's a podcaster that I listen to. And also, I had a roommate who was obsessed with Sephora. And my roommate made it a point because I mean we were both single at the time. So she says, "Hey, you should go into Sephora with me. Come into Sephora with me." And I said, no, I don't even wear makeup. Why would I even walk into Sephora or even look in that general direction? You know, that's just not in my peripheral, right? I'm not looking
mhm.
for makeup. And she goes, "Listen, you're a girl. You like girls. Girls like makeup. You need to know about makeup." I said, "You know what? You got a point. Bring me into this freaking store." So she brought me into the store and she taught me about makeup. So I think that between her and Bailey Sarian, the makeup that I do know or what I do know about makeup is from them. So I appreciate makeup. I'm not shitting on makeup just because I don't wear makeup. I actually think that makeup is art. I think it is so cool
Yeah.
how people can mix colors and
Mhm.
do like the eyeshadow and put they like people, oh my god, sorry, now I'm going on like a
A tangent.
admiration rant, yeah, for makeup. You know, people can make their faces look, you know, skinnier just by putting on
Yeah.
makeup. That is so cool. And then you get like the extreme part of makeup where you're doing like the horror stuff and you got blood coming out your eyeball and it's bulging out. It's just so cool. Makeup is just so cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can
It's
do
an
so
art.
much stuff with makeup. Yeah, it is. It's an art.
It is an art.
That's my side note about makeup.
All right, so before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you want to talk about as it relates to like social media boundaries?
Um, I mean, I feel like we said most of how I feel about social media. You know, if it makes you feel like crap, if it makes you feel bad about yourself, just put it away, put it down, you know, separate yourself from your phone. That way you're not tempted, you know, turn off the notifications. And then the other part of what we talked about a lot was like with kids, you know, kids and social media, it's dangerous. I'll say it again. I don't want kids for this reason because it's just the combination is just ugh, I don't even know how I would handle it is what I'm saying. So all you parents out there that have kids and now we got social media out here, like I am wishing you the best of luck with your kids and I hope that they love themselves more than they think that the world hates them. I'll say that. Because in their mind and in a teenager's mind, everything is extreme because of these raging hormones. So, you know, everybody hates me. Ugh, I'm such a I don't know, whatever, loser. I'm a loser. Duh. You know, I
Yeah.
just, I hope that they love themselves anyways. You know, I'm a freaking cool loser. You know,
Yeah.
I
I
was a
think
cool loser. Look at me now.
I think I think if we just kind of take a step back and start with like why am I on social media in the first place, that might kind of help us to make sure that we are continuing to use it in the way that is intended, because it was invented so that we can stay connected with others. And if you are I guess like what I'm trying to say is to just pay attention to how you feel while you are interacting with it so that you can just have that awareness. And I think that awareness is going to be key in helping you to figure out how to navigate your relationship with it moving forward, because it's not until we become aware of something that we can then make changes
Mm.
so that there can be like a better relationship. So if you do this experiment and let's say you start with turning your notifications off and you find yourself feeling really anxious like multiple times a day because you're not getting that, ding on your phone, and you start feeling like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" Like with my people that I follow, that's just something that you need to like kind of assess and like think and just kind of like make a mental note of like this is how I'm feeling.
Mhm.
Maybe jot down a couple things, take some notes on like the process of how you're feeling. That way, maybe over the course of a few days, you can kind of see like how you were in the beginning of the week versus like I for me personally, I found that like if I ever feel like I'm starting to like check it too frequently and I take a step back, it's almost like the same thing that happened to me. I did like a 1 week fast from sugar once, and that first day was really hard, and then the second day wasn't as hard, and the third day wasn't as hard. So I feel like it's the same sort of effect anytime that I do find myself feeling a little bit more addictive to social media. I don't think I've ever gotten like super, super addicted. I know there are people that are like really, really
Oh, yeah.
really, really addicted to it, and I think that the reason I never did was because I've always kept my notifications off. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think when I first got social media, I think I had the notifications turned on, and then I quickly realized, "No, no, no. I cannot have these turned on because
Yep.
it's stressing me out." So I realized right away that that's not for me. I'm gonna turn them off,
Yep.
and I think had I kept them on like, for a lot longer than I did, it definitely would have probably been worse for me. But, yeah, I mean, hopefully, you don't come away from this episode thinking that, we are judging you. If you keep your notification on, that's fine. We are just trying to shed light on the fact that we all need to make sure that we are having a healthy relationship with social media. And if you are feeling completely fine and it doesn't stress you out having the notifications on, probably because you don't follow that many people, then I mean that makes sense. So no like judgment. We're not saying, "Oh, you're doing it wrong." I'm not here to try and tell anybody that you're doing something wrong. It's just we just want to make sure that you are constantly like evaluating.
Yeah.
I think that's what life is. It's just a constant evaluation of what we are doing and making sure that this thing that we are doing that I used to do I still want to continue doing it? Is it still going to continue to bring me value in the future?
That's good.
On that note, Alexis, thanks for this
Oh,
great
dear.
conversation. And
To
we will
all
see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Whoop.